Grand Theft Auto is one of those games that you played at an age that you definitely shouldn't have, letting you do all the things in life you're not allowed to while having a couple laughs along the way as well. And no matter how casual of a gamer you are, there's no denying that anyone can have fun with just about any given title. Whether it be going on a massacre, participating in street races, or getting a little extracurricular with the female NPCs. And with the 6th installment a lot closer than you think, I thought it'd be appropriate to go back and play and rank every single title, including the spin-offs you didn't even know existed. Per usual, one title gets the S+ ranking and crowned the greatest, and another the F- and deemed the worst in the franchise. Now go ahead and leave a comment on what your favorite Grand Theft Auto is in the franchise. What? The first ever Grand Theft Auto was actually not developed by Rockstar. Instead, DMA Design took the reins to kick off this legendary franchise. And I'm going to try my best to cut GTA 1 some slack here since it was developed in 1991 on the PlayStation 1. But also, I'm not going to act like these first couple games we're going to talk about even hold a candle to what we have today. It's a top-down experience, which obviously limits what you can do with this game. But where this game gets really infuriating is the driving. Since you're limited to what you can see in front of you, you're always crashing into something off-screen since you have absolutely no chance of seeing or avoiding the object in the first place. The game kind of has this built-in AI where it zooms in and zooms out while you're crashing into stuff or slowing down, and it just does not work out. It is just a very dated game, and it really just feels its age, and it's really hard to go back to. The whole game is basically you running around answering payphones and committing crimes, but what's unique about GTA 1 is that you have a full-blown character select before you load into the game. I mean, you got Bubba here. I mean, look at this handsome fellow. Hopefully he makes an appearance in GTA 6. Anyways, the game has a sizable amount of content, especially when you count the London DLC expansions, but overall, I just couldn't vibe with this. Probably the best thing to come out of this game is there's a manual fart and burp function. I don't know if you ever played the game Shrek Extra Large, but there was something like that in that game, and it was pretty funny. I actually really like this. Kind of like in Legend of Zelda, you know, you just somersault every single place you go. Even though it doesn't speed up your character, you know, you're always just spamming A rolling. And in GTA 1, that's basically the same thing going on here, except you're farting and burping nonstop. Despite aging pretty bad, the game was still very polarizing when it came out because I don't think there was a game quite like this where you could just commit crime. That was like the whole premise of the game. And they took this polarizing and controversial like topic for a game and just amplified it with every game moving forward. But overall, the game just did not age well. You have no reason to play this game. I mean, I know it's where it all started, but I promise you are not missing out. This is a D tier game. What? Now we're on to the first Grand Theft Auto that was actually developed by Rockstar, being GTA 2. And GTA 2 is roughly the same vibe as GTA 1. I really don't see much of a difference between the two except for maybe some updated graphics. It controls roughly the same as GTA 1 and has a similar premise that you just answer payphones and commit crimes for people the entire game. But I don't want to go too in depth with here. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, these games are interchangeable. I guess I'll give GTA 1 a little like leg up because it started the whole thing. If someone has strong opinions as to why GTA 1 is better than GTA 2 or vice versa, I mean, I'm all ears. I mean, I guess GTA 1 had more content with the DLC, so woohoo. But I'm going to dock this game for not changing the equation whatsoever. I'm going to give it the F tier. I know that's brutal, but I mean, in comparison to what we're going to talk about, it really just is not good. Before I dive into GTA 3, full disclosure here, I played the next 3 games we're about to talk about all on the Definitive Edition, which I know is like a very bold decision by me because I'm aware that it's not technically the same experience, but I tried playing the original versions on my PC and they just did not communicate well with my computer. And the Definitive Edition has come a long way. Obviously, we know the horrid launch that it initially had, but I started with GTA 3 on here and it basically made the most sense to play the game like this. So sorry in advance if that pisses anyone off. GTA 3 was the first step into the 3-dimensional plane for Grand Theft Auto, and it might have been one of the most ambitious projects any game developer has ever attempted. And all things considered, it was a pretty big success. We're set in Liberty City, which is Rockstar's rendition of New York City, and you play as the silent protagonist Claude. By the way, I had to look up his name. Apparently, the only way people know that his name is Claude, or Cloud, however you want to say it, is that from the end credit scenes in GTA San Andreas, like you hear like Catalina like refer to him as that, so kind of weird. And I have some issues with this because the silent protagonist, who you don't even know his name unless you go on the internet, makes it just really unrelatable the whole entire game. Regardless, this game took the whole sandbox element that Grand Theft Auto had already established and made it just way more in depth. Driving is actually fun and doesn't make you want to vomit. The combat is easier, and now you have an exponentially more immersive experience than what we've had before this. The story takes on a mafia vibe with it while you're caught in the middle of crime families, double crosses, assassinations, just a very like Godfather-esque vibe the whole entire game. The game opens up with Claude getting crossed by his girlfriend and getting busted, to which you start the game when he returns from prison. And that is basically all the context you have for him. Again, he can't talk, so you know nothing else about this guy. And since you know nothing about him, it kind of makes everything pretty meaningless. Like every mission is just, you just feel like you're a chore runner for someone, which obviously Grand Theft Auto, that is a pretty common thing, but this time it's like, why I'm even doing this? Am I just a criminal just to be a criminal? But aside from having absolutely no skin in the game whatsoever, aside from maybe like your backstabbing girlfriend, the first entire half of this game is some of the most boring missions. It's all just driving. Let me drive here, pick up this person, maybe use a gun here and there. It is extremely repetitive. It's not till like the second half of the game where you start actually doing orchestrated missions that have objectives. It's a big slow burner, but the payout, I guess, is decent. Maybe it's just my goldfish brain, but this is a pretty boring first half. But there's also some other dated things about this game, like buying guns. You go to the gun store and the guns are just sitting there and you walk over them to buy them, but then you have to wait for them to respawn to buy them again. The wanted system in this game, which would be here to stay for the PS2 era of games, also took some getting used to. They emphasized the pay and spray, which obviously we know it's a big thing in Grand Theft Auto, but they really just like only want you to use this. Like you basically can't outrun the cops unless you only have a 1-star. There's also like the bribe tokens, which I guess was fine, but I don't know. It felt like when you got the cops, they were just on your ass until you went to a pay and spray. Regardless, GTA 3 is where I think Grand Theft Auto earned that reputation as the one game you're not allowed to play, because this is the game where you could actually like visually see yourself like walking around the street and massacring a group of prostitutes in like all their 200 polygons. But I think pretty much every game we're going to talk about here on out, except for the exception of a couple, is a much better experience. But GTA 3 is still a very important game. I actually talked about it in my inspirational games video. This you know, just kind of break that barrier of open world, do whatever you want. But I'm still giving it a C tier ranking. Vice City is the next installment in the PS2 era, and I see a huge upgrade for the franchise. Things move to Vice City, which we all know is based off Miami, and is also where GTA 6 will be taking place. Tommy Vercetti is our main character, and he's a contender for one of the best protagonists out there. Also voiced by Ray Liotta, which might be one of the most perfect casting jobs of any video game ever. The story is Tommy gets set up in a deal gone wrong and accumulates a ton of debt that you then have to pay off. But instead of just like, all right, guys, I gotta start working to get this money back, he says, this, I'm gonna take over the whole fucking city. And that's what this whole game is about. I don't think we've ever seen such an ambitious, I guess, protagonist in a game. Yeah, they're all usually money motivated or, you know, want money to some degree, but this is like almost like a power hungry kind of guy, and that's pretty cool. One element that emphasizes that motive are the asset missions. Toward the end of the main campaign, you'll hit a point where you don't have any more missions on your map and you have no idea what to do. A few missions prior, you're introduced to the assets of Vice City that let you buy businesses to fix up and make some passive income. When I saw this, I totally thought this was like a optional kind of, oh yeah, by the way, if you want to make some extra money, do these asset missions. But after like the 23rd mission or somewhere, like, you know, towards the end of the campaign, it becomes part of the actual main story. But by the way, the game does not tell you this, or at least I missed it, and that was kind of annoying to me. For a second there, I thought I completed the game and I was like, oh, this is very anticlimactic, but I looked up that you have to do 6 of these asset missions, one of which is required being the print works, but you have to do other 5, and they're not marked on your map or anything. It's kind of just implied that you're going to poke around, which I guess is actually a pretty good idea to like force the player to do some side quests. At first I didn't like it, but I kind of warmed up to the idea afterwards. But you also got to remember, this came out at a time where user manuals came with your case of the game and you'd actually probably read that. So just a different time when this came out. These asset missions actually kind of give you a new lens on certain assets of Vice City, like the film studios one and then the taxi cab one. Those are pretty cool. The game was overall better, and there were some quality of life improvements, like getting to see an actual gun menu to choose from. And also, if you've noticed so far, I have not talked about soundtracks in the Grand Theft Auto games, despite the radio being even in GTA 1. But I wanted to save that to glaze the Vice City soundtrack. This whole 80s Miami vibe, it just is hit so well because of the songs in this game. There is just so many damn bangers here. Slayer, Megadeth, Motley Crue, REO Speedwagon, Run DMC, ELO, Tears for Fears, yes. And the two guys who practically ended racism together, Hall and Oates. This is where I think Rockstar took pride in their soundtracks moving forward and became a very big focal point of the game. I know at least with GTA 5, you can definitely think of some bangers. You're like, oh yeah, that song's from GTA 5. That's where I heard it for the first time. Or, you know, whatever it may be. And that all started with Vice City. At the very least, Vice City is at least 2 notches above GTA 3, not only in what it adds to the table, but also the overall missions are just way better. It's a treat from start to finish as you slowly build an empire across the city and become the kingpin that Tommy has set out to be. The game ends with a Scarface-inspired shootout that caps this game off very well. I personally don't think this is the best Grand Theft Auto game out there, but it's pretty damn close, and if someone were to say this is their favorite, that is a a very respectable opinion. I'm giving Vice City an A tier. Are you sick and tired of back pain and bad posture? Well, look no further than today's sponsor, FlexiSpot, and their C7 Max chair. I know what you're sitting on right now could be much more comfortable, and you are selling yourself short. With an adjustable headrest, backrest, lumbar support, seat depth, armrest, and seat cushion, no matter what your body type is, this chair will meet your needs. I want to emphasize the seat cushion, which may as well be stuffed with clouds from the heavens. The one thing I can never find with my old chairs is something to support me on the other end for long periods of time. Eventually, I will get sore. But with the C7 Max cushion, that is a problem of the past. Bad posture has always been an issue of mine, but this chair forces good posture to ensure prolonged comfort. As someone who spends a lot of time at a desk, whether it be from editing or spending hours trying to get a guy in a bucket to climb a mountain, this chair is great for not only gaming, but long periods of work time as well. So whether you work from home or play a lot of video games like myself, FlexiSpot has something to offer for you. But of all the features I've already talked about, my favorite feature has to be the reclining capabilities. And since I opted for a footrest in my model, I can take a nap in this thing when needed. Also, it was extremely easy to set up and took me less than 20 minutes in total to assemble. So what are you waiting for? FlexiSpot offers a 30-day money-back guarantee for any and all purchases, a 10-year warranty on any damaged parts whatsoever, and you can even use my link down below to not only help the channel in a great way, but also you get the best possible price for the best chair on the market. And if the C7 Max seems like too much for you and you want something a little simpler, the C5 has you covered and you will still see an insane upgrade in your chair quality. Thank you so much to FlexiSpot for sponsoring this video. Grand Theft Auto San Andreas is that game that if you were born in the 90s and were a gamer, you have some type of relationship with. Maybe you played it at a friend's house. Your older brother may have had a copy who definitely had a Slipknot poster on his wall. Or you were one of the lucky few who had a copy firsthand. Aside from maybe GTA 5, I would say that this is the GTA title that most people think of when they hear the franchise name. Set in San Andreas, the first time we will be taken to the fictitious Los Santos in 3D, CJ is our protagonist who is mourning the loss of his mother whilst being caught up in a gang war representing Grove Street. What I like about CJ is that this is about as personal as a story can get. It's family matters here. You know, your mom just got killed and you're trying to find the killer. And your brother also gets caught up in some yucky stuff that you're trying to get revenge for. So just a lot more personal than just like, oh, I want money and power. Aside from that, this is also the only game where you actually feel like a gangster. Well, you are a gangster instead of just a criminal, down to the sideways guns and everything. The first quarter of this game is set around building your gang, but then it all goes to shit and you kind of reset as you unlock the rest of the map. Which, by the way, no matter how you want to twist it, San Andreas does have the biggest map, kind of by a landslide compared to the previous two games. I probably do like the Vice City map more just because it's more vibey, I guess. Anyways, there are also a few new gameplay elements that weren't in the previous two games. You have those underlying statistics for CJ, like his strength and his body fat and his lung capacity, you know, just kind of like some very, very loose diet RPG elements, which I think kind of felt shoehorned in. I don't think we needed this in the game. It's, I guess, a cool feature. You know, you eat food, you get fat, nice. But two gameplay features, or I guess things your character can do that they couldn't before, is one, you can now swim. Before, if you just fell in water, you would just drown immediately. It was extremely annoying, especially if you were just like doing simple things like trying to jump on a boat. You could just miss the jump and die. But now you can swim and dive, and there's even like dolphins and shit in the water. But also now you can mantle, and that's pretty important too, because, you know, there'd be a fence that's easily climbable in real life, but your guy would just get stuck on, you know, just couldn't move, but now you can mantle it and get on buildings and stuff. So that's also really nice. The lock-on for combat is greatly improved, which makes for a much more streamlined experience. And the overall immersion of this game is better. The 90s hip-hop gang-banging vibe is cranked to the max with plenty of characters that are inspired from said era. Speaking of characters, this has to be one of the most legendary lineups of characters, with everyone except for maybe CJ, actually. I like CJ as a character, but I think the side characters are just banging. I mean, you got Samuel Jackson as Officer Tenpenny in this game, and he just kills that role. It's just a well-written experience with plenty of memes. Oh my gosh, the memes. I mean, there's just a factory of them here. You picked the wrong house, fool. 2 number 9s, a number 9 large. All you had to do was follow the damn train, CJ. Oh shit, here we go again. And those ones I just said is just scratching the surface. That's like the ones that are well known, and they're also in like the first hour. There's just so many funny dialogue moments in this game. With the map being so big, the game itself is also really long, like probably 2 or even 3 times longer than GTA 3 or Vice City. And you get a pretty satisfying payoff the more you play it with how many arcs come to an end. There's plenty of Easter eggs, secrets, and even crossovers like Claude making an appearance alongside Catalina before the events of GTA 3, but San Andreas took everything great about the franchise so far, I mean really just like the previous two games, and pretty much perfected it, creating an amazing in-depth world while also expanding and experimenting with new ideas that would return later in the franchise. The game hits home for a lot of people, and rightfully so. This is an S-tier game. What? Grand Theft Auto Advance was originally supposed to be a handheld port of GTA 3 for the Game Boy, but was converted into a standalone spin-off instead. And this game's fucking terrible. And also, all the footage I captured for this game got corrupted, so the footage you're going to be seeing on screen isn't mine. Sorry in advance. Since it's handheld, we're back to the 2D top-down style, which makes sense because there's absolutely no way a Game Boy Advance game could handle a 3D experience like that. But you can tell just while you're playing this game that the hardware is just not cut out for it, which doesn't make sense because I feel like I've played games on the Game Boy Advance that are just as complex as this, and this one just runs really bad. The game is very stuttery and laggy, and it just feels like really clunky. The driving is just as bad as it was in GTA 1 or 2. You still can't see in front of you. It's just a vomit simulator, honestly. It's really, really hard to play. This is the worst Grand Theft Auto game out there. I don't have to write a memoir about why that is. I mean, if you just load it up and play the first 10 minutes, you will understand why. It gets the F- ranking for the video, but also while we're here, there's actually a Game Boy Color version of GTA 1 and GTA 2, and we already established those games are pretty terrible. So I'm throwing both of those at F tier, but I would say the Game Boy Advance GTA game is the worst of the franchise. Liberty City Stories was one of 3 handheld titles for the PSP that later got a PS2 port. Once again, housekeeping, full disclosure here, I played the PS2 port for this and the next game we're about to talk about. There are some sizable differences. Apparently, it's actually the worst way to experience this game is on PS2, but I still had just a fine time. I surprisingly really liked these games. The game takes place before the events of GTA 3 and uses the same map with some POIs missing and others added to match the events of their respective game. Plenty of characters make a return as you play as Tony, who's a part of the Leone crime family. So we're back in Liberty City, but this time we have a talking protagonist, which immediately makes the game much more compelling. It has a very similar vibe to GTA 3, crime organization shenanigans. Some missions are very familiar and kind of feel reused at times, but then you have standout missions like the one where you're inside a boat and getting chased by like 20 dudes with chainsaws. This one was actually pretty silly because it's almost like you can make like a sub mini game out of this, like how long can you survive, because it was actually kind of hard. Another reused element is once you need to lay low, you go to the next island, so it can feel a little unoriginal at times. But keep in mind, this is a spin-off game on a handheld nonetheless, so it doesn't necessarily need to feel like its own thing. I mean, it's a spin-off. This is exactly what spin-offs do, and it is serviceable. I think the vocal protagonist does a lot for this game. There's an overarching relationship with your mother who's disappointed in you, like so much so that she orders a hit on you. That alone is way more interesting than anything that goes on in GTA 3, and this becomes like a reoccurring thing. Like you just randomly get guys trying to kill you that are sent from your mother. That's just like the most GTA shit I think I've ever heard. If you want more Grand Theft Auto, this will for sure tickle that itch. I do think the one we're about to talk about is a little bit better, but it's pretty crazy to see that the spin-off game that's based off of a full-fledged release is better than the full-fledged release. Liberty City Stories gets a B tier. After Liberty City Stories, we got Vice City Stories. Same concept here in that we're in Vice City before the events of GTA Vice City, and we play as Victor Vance. And people seem to not really like this character, but I do. I think he stands out a good bit. We've already talked about it. Most protagonists are just like, fuck this shit, give me money. But Victor is the only one that shows any type of moral compass when making decisions or like when people do certain things. He's in the military where he starts doing work for a sergeant and gets caught up in some bad luck and gets booted, and his whole motive is to help his deadbeat mom. Victor takes on Vice City, and what I really like about this game is that it wastes absolutely no time with the missions. You jump right into the action, meet all sorts of characters, and just start doing the dirty work like immediately. You also get introduced to a brand new feature that we still haven't gotten back since this game launched. We all know the asset missions were a big focal point of Vice City, but in Vice City Stories, it's also a focal point, but also just greatly improved. Instead of going to buy a dedicated business, you go and buy like these abandoned buildings, and you convert them into whatever business you want, and you can complete missions for them to increase your reputation in that business and also get more money. You can put more money into the business to also generate more money passively. And this is also pretty early on in the game, like in the first like maybe hour, you can just start ramping these up and just get a fat passive income going. Also, you don't have to go go collect it like you did in Vice City. It just goes, like, you know, gets deposited in your bank account. Pretty nice. Again, just like no reason a handheld game should be this in depth, and this is just another really good handheld game. Aside from the awesome business builder, since we're back in Vice City, we're at all-time vibes with the soundtrack. It just complements the game very well. Plenty of old characters return as you traverse Vice City in its entirety with another great narrative to tell. Also, I can't talk about Vice City Stories without talking about Phil fucking Collins in this game. Of all the games to have like a celebrity cameo, this is not the one I thought it would be. Normally in Grand Theft Auto, you know, you get like cameo voice actors. I mean, you know, we had Samuel Jackson in San Andreas and whatnot, but he's just a voice actor. But in this game, Phil Collins is Phil Collins in the game. There's a whole concert. It's so random, but again, it also just fits the 80s vibe very well. But similar to Liberty City Stories, this is another phenomenal spin-off game that will just, you know, again, more Grand Theft Auto is always great. And this is just, I would not quite say better than Vice City, but at least on par with it. I'm going crazy. I'm giving Vice City Stories an A tier. Back to another mainline installment, we have Grand Theft Auto 4. This is one of the most decisive games in the franchise because of how different it feels from any other game. You definitely still know that you're playing Grand Theft Auto game, but it just has a totally different and unique vibe to it. Niko Bellic is our protagonist, who's fresh off the boat from Yugoslavia in search of a new life. I want to point one thing out, and that this game came out when internet culture was obsessed with Russian meme, you know, just memery and just behavior, I guess. And even though he's from Yugoslavia, you know, he sounds Russian. Sorry if that's just like blatantly racist, but people really liked it, and it was, you know, like in Russia, ball play you, you know, that kind of meme. It was just all over this game. My dumbass 11-year-old brain definitely saw Niko Bellic as a Russian. He's quickly caught up in some criminal activity as he tries to make it alongside his cousin Roman. And GTA 4 takes one of the most realistic approaches to a Grand Theft Auto game to date, and I think that's where people become strongly opinionated on this game. The driving is noticeably different with these physics and is the most difficult to master, which definitely does not make this game bad just because it's different, but I can see why some people hate on this because, you know, it's a little harder to get around even when it's just like a simple race. Also, I don't remember the hand brake camera being on by default in this game, but the first like hour and I was replaying this game for this video, I would go to drift and my screen would just fucking have a seizure. It was so terrible. I was like, is this just part of the game? But then I realized it was the hand brake camera, and then you turn that off and it's fine. But oh my gosh, why the hell is this on by default? Aside from driving, the physics in general make small things like sprinting feel different as well. And also when you shoot someone, where you hit them, like their body will fall back, which isn't even in GTA 5. I think this was a great change because now when you or AI die or get pushed or crash in any type of interaction that uses the ragdoll physics, you see some pretty funny results, which used to be just kind of some basic fall animation in the previous games. And I think this helps the whole sandbox vibe that GTA is known for. I think a really good way to showcase this is the swing set of death. If you remember this thing, you are an absolute OG of GTA 4. I used to get online with my friends and we would just drive into this thing and see how far it would throw us. Also, if someone wants to explain to me why the swing set in this game just fucking does this, I'll hear you out. The story missions are some of the best in the franchise, and the bank robbery is one of the first large-scale heists with a super in-depth design that would be brought back with GTA 5. We have some other new elements that we didn't have before and wish we had sooner. Basic things like a manual reload function or like auto covering behind cover that is like makes this game so much easier to play than the older ones. Then there's also the phone system, which obviously, yeah, I mean, you got phone calls in the other games, but now you can like manually call someone, you know, ask them to hang out, and however, if someone calls you and you hang up on them or you ignore them, it affects your relationship with them. And this alone makes the game feel much more tailored to the player's experience and gives it even more replayability. You want to abandon Michelle when she wants to go on a date? Say goodbye to some free nookie. You want to ditch Roman when he wants to go bowling? He'll be sure to give you an earful about that later. Outside of an amazing base game, you also have the DLC. And The Lost and Damned was the first of two. And the best way to explain The Lost and Damned is you basically play GTA 4, but as this guy from the Salty Spittoon. You had the biker mechanic where you had your whole crew and you could basically, you know, create an empire, and if they died, you'd replace them. You could call them in to help you out on jobs as a backup. I mean, that was pretty nice. But where this DLC goes dummy for absolutely no reason is the Ballad of Gay Tony. This is one of the best DLCs I've ever played in any game, up there with Undead Nightmare, also by Rockstar, no coincidence there. You get the level recapped after each mission, which was a very nice plus. And yet another perspective on Liberty City, but also tons of new guns and vehicles that make a huge difference. The P90 being Luis's signature weapon, but more importantly, the Buzzard and sticky bombs as well. Before, all you had was the base helicopter, and the Buzzard sure being kitted out with rockets and machine guns made the sandbox experience much more enjoyable. The execution of this double DLC that results in, 3 characters off of one big city and kind of like overlaps into one big story, if you really want to kind of put it together like that, is kind of inspiring for what GTA 5 would be. And this was a huge success in GTA 4, and we obviously know it would be a smash hit in GTA 5 as well. I think I like GTA 4's interpretation of it more because it's, instead of like switching in the middle of like a mission and stuff, it's all just about like, here's this person's story, here's this person's story, here's this person's story, and then they kind of weave in and out of each other. On top of everything we've talked about so far, you also have the online experience, which didn't have really any content. It was basically just load up with your friends and wreak havoc on Liberty City, but that's all we really needed. My whole thing was getting a SWAT truck or an ambulance and backing it up to the doors of the Cluck and Bell, going in the Cluck and Bell and just going on a massacre, accumulating 6 stars, getting in the car, getting my friends to go in the back. We just drive and just shoot out the back. I thought that was so much fucking fun. I spent so much time on GTA 4, and just doing this over and over again or just fucking around with the swing set was plenty of entertainment for me. And with this, you also got more value if you had the Ballad of Gay Tony, because you had things like the parachute and obviously the buzzard and the sticky bombs and the P90. You also had the like MRAP like tank car. I mean, that's just fucking sick, driving that through Liberty City. Some games age well, but for whatever weird reason, I think GTA 4 actually got better with time going on. A lot of people think this is the best GTA game, and there is definitely an argument for that, and I'm not mad at anyone who thinks that. That means people think it's better than GTA 5, and Crobcat has a whole video on the differences between the two, and GTA 4 actually like does certain things much better than GTA 5. I get it's not everyone's cup of tea, but I really, really enjoyed going back and playing this game. Like I said, it was even better than I remember, and the DLC also just hits. The single player experience is just so perfect. If I want to dock this game for one thing, it's probably the health system. There's no passive health regeneration, which is fine, but the only way to do that is by eating food, and you have to find a hot dog stand. It just feels so stupid. Like, you go find a hot dog stand and you're at 1 HP, just got, massacred with bullets, and then you just eat a hot dog and it goes right back up. I mean, I guess that's like classic video game trope, but the hot dog stands aren't really abundant, nor are they marked on your map, so that was kind of just annoying sometimes. Like, I'd be in the middle of a mission, I'm like, oh, I'm starting this mission with a quarter HP, let me go find a hot dog stand while I'm in the car with someone about to go do something. That's the only real complaint I have for this game. Other than that, GTA 4, it was my first Grand Theft Auto game, and I think I got really spoiled with this one. GTA 4 gets an S tier. Chinatown Wars is another handheld exclusive that only saw a DS release initially. Later released for PSP and then mobile, it's the last 2D GTA game we have to talk about. And this is easily the best top-down Grand Theft Auto game we have. It's not really close at all. One reason for that is it's more of like a 2.5D, meaning cars can still flip over and there can be other interactions that weren't possible with the other top-down games. All things considered, this is a fine experience. I think, being limited to top-down is obviously not as fun as being in a 3D plane, like even close. Also, I wanted to play at least one of these games on mobile, and I played this game on my phone. So the footage you're going to see is not mine because capturing footage on my phone is just extremely inefficient, but it was pretty cool. I mean, I bet it's probably better on a PSP or a DS, and the touch controls were pretty responsive. And also the way it works is like there's, like hijacking a car, like hotwiring a car rather, is like you press the buttons on the screen. It's like very interactive. Also, since you're working with limitations of handheld, the cutscenes, it's more of like a comic book, just kind of show close-ups of people's faces and they talk, and there's no voice acting or anything. I definitely won't come back to this game ever, but if I had a DS as a kid, this probably would have been a really good time, but I think a C tier is appropriate for this. According to IGN, GTA 5 is the best-selling video game of all time, only behind Tetris and Minecraft. The anticipation behind this game was unreal. I remember the day it came out at school, everyone was just talking about it. I mean, like, my fucking English teacher, who probably don't even know, it probably still calls like an Xbox and Nintendo, somehow caught wind and was talking about this release. I mentioned in my only 10 out of 10 video games video that the way I got my hands on GTA 5, because I definitely was not allowed to play it, was that I gave money to one of my friends and his dad bought an extra copy for me. Then I had to hide said copy in the fucking like fiberglass in the wall in our storage room, on top of also having to sneak when I'm actually playing it. So this has a pretty big core memory for me of like, just experiencing this game for the first time. GTA 5 takes us through the journey of 3 separate protagonists simultaneously as you unfold the stories across Los Santos. This is the biggest map we've gotten in Grand Theft Auto to date, and it also has the most to do. You have tons of missions here, and the whole heist mechanic of where like you do things outside of the actual campaign to like get set up for the heist was pretty cool. It's not like you just show up and then do it. You actually have to, you know, steal a garbage truck. That's like the big one that comes to mind, is like do that like in your free time, which again, kind of like Vice City, helps you explore the city naturally instead of being like, oh, go do this, 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 and this. After going from GTA 4 to this, it's pretty wild to see how much more arcadey GTA 5 is in comparison. I do not remember there being this big of a difference, probably because when I played GTA 5, it had been like 5 or 6 years since I had played GTA 4. But I mean, it is a pretty drastic change that will take some getting used to, and now I kind of understand why people are so polarized between the two now. I still like both of them a lot. I don't think I prefer one or the other as far as the physics. It is very different. As far as the story, it's good, but not my favorite narrative. I think the multiple character selection is great. Like I said, I think I prefer GTA 4's take on it a little more, where it's like just 3 separate campaigns. So now it's one big campaign and you play, you know, switch in the middle of missions and stuff, characters. I mean, Trevor is obviously just a psychopath, and he's always, you know, when you switch to him, he's always doing some crazy shit. Michael's just, you know, also another psychopath in a different way. And then Franklin's like the most level-headed, but just kind of, you know, I want my money, collect my bag, get out of here kind of vibe. And then at the end, obviously, spoiler alert, I'm going to stall for like 3 seconds here. You get to choose which one of them gets to die, except for Franklin, obviously. And that was like, you know, pretty big deal. But where GTA 5 really starts to impress me is the behemoth that is GTA Online. I know people like to rate these separately because I think GTA Online officially got its separate release like a couple years ago. But to me, GTA Online is a part of GTA 5, so you can get pissed at me if you want. GTA Online has come a long way. I remember the day it launched, I was so excited to hop on with my friends and just go ape shit, but you literally couldn't get into the game for the first like, it was like almost the first like month. I feel like you could not get into the game, and if you did, you would start doing stuff and eventually get kicked out, and you get back in. If you got back in, all your shit would be wiped. It was an absolute disaster. And even after they made it playable, you'd play it and it was just so empty. There was like the missions that kind of sucked. They felt just really boring. Fast forward to today, and the game is almost like too big for its own good. This game has flourished, and just, I think I swear I get to add like once every 2 or 3 months about some new bullshit getting added to the game. And it's not like, oh, hey, buy this new skin. It's, hey, there's this new heist we added. It's pretty crazy to see how much support this game has gotten. And obviously, we all know the meme is that the GTA Online was so good that it in turn like hindered the development of GTA 6, and obviously we all believe that. GTA 5 and Online at this point has gotten the Skyrim treatment, where it just gets a re-release. Like you can play this game on PS5, and it's technically its own version, I think, or it's like enhanced in some way. I will say, when they made the PS4, Xbox One, and PC version, and they actually added like a good bit, like there's fucking orca whales in the water now. I fuck with that. I like orca whales. But now, I mean, you can get your friends together, do heists. I think the really big update for me that was just insane was the casino update. You know, going to, you know, run the blackjack table. I mean, that's just fun. There's all sorts of stuff you can buy. It's really overstimulating if you're just getting into it, but Rockstar's done a good job of, if you buy the game, usually I think you get like, you're probably gonna buy like the mega edition because it's only like like $5 maybe, and you get a huge head start on the online segment. So much to where it's like, oh, I can just start, you know, I'm already gonna make so much money starting off, to where I can just, you know, grind the game and have the jet bike that fucking everyone hates that blows everyone up. I mean, this thing's crazy. I mean, there's just so much stuff that isn't even in campaign, so pretty cool to see some exclusives like that. GTA 5 is a game that if you ask any jock or like frat guy, they'll be like, oh yeah, like I play games, and you ask them what they play, they have like 3 games, and one of them is probably Fortnite, 2K, and then GTA 5 always makes its way in there. It's a game that everyone can play, even if you're just gonna like chill at the strip club and fucking goon or whatever, or go on a massacre, or just go race around, play a custom map, or, you know, the RP servers. I didn't even talk about the mods. Holy shit, that's a whole nother realm that I'm not going to get into, but I mean, that just the mod support for this game is insane. Pretty sure, like, didn't Rockstar like hire modders to be developers for GTA 6 or something like that? Didn't something like that happen? I mean, GTA 5 is one of those games that I'll always come back to, and you'll just never get bored of. There's so much to do. It's only gotten better for some really weird reason. But yeah, if you can't tell by now of me absolutely glazing GTA 5, I'm giving it the S+ ranking for this video. I think it is the best Grand Theft Auto game, and GTA 6 moving forward has some absolutely massive shoes to fill. And the success of GTA Online, I think, is only higher the bar for what GTA 6 could be. So I hope they, you know, surpass those expectations. But anyways, this is the all the GTA games ranked. I'm excited for GTA 6. You probably hate yeah, that one's definitely pissing you off right now. Go ahead and leave me a comment as why you think this is wrong or right. Also, if you made it this far in the video, maybe consider subscribing. If you want to hear me talk about every Rage game or every Lord of the Rings game, click on screen now. And if you liked, leave a like. If you didn't, leave a dislike. And thank you so much for watching.